Hello, happy Tuesday, ladies. We are live. And you gotta give me a minute to make sure I'm live everywhere. I think I should be live. Okay, so give me your girl a minute just to refresh, okay? But I'm super excited that you're here. If you were here, just say hello, say hey girl, hey in the comments. I'm super excited for us to have this chat. Of course, we're talking today about how Black women are strategic, okay? We're talking all things continuous improvement, job search, motivation tonight. So if you don't know me, my name is Mercedes. Say hello to me while I wait for. Okay, we got YouTube going. Okay, give me a minute just to get give me a minute just to get LinkedIn going. But I'm super excited that you're here. So if you are here, let your girl know. Say hello where you are calling, watching in from. I don't know why I said calling. Okay, we're here. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited. Okay, y'all are coming in. I see y'all. Okay, don't be okay. Hey there. Hey, girl. Hey, Stacy. I was like, don't be shy. Okay, this is an open conversation. I need y'all to show up and say hello. Hey, Tia. Hey, how are you? Oh, Dr. Tia. Okay, I see you. Look at that picture. It's really small on my screen, but hey. I'm super excited that you all are here. Oh, Felicia. Oh, hey, girl, back again. Hey, Felica. I did that last time. Correct me. Hey, Felicia. Hey, girl. And okay, Sonia. Okay, here we go. We're catching up. Hey, Faith. Hey, Sonia. I'm so excited for you all to be here. We're gonna have another great webinar. I'm super excited for this. So like I said, this is a discussion. Okay, this is a discussion. So what I want you to do is y'all already said hello. Hey, Emmett. Oh, hey. Hey. Oh, okay. Thank you for reminding me. Barbara's back, Fort Lauderdale, Toronto. Hey, girl. Hey. Oh, it's Nicole. Hey, girl. It doesn't tell me who you are on this chat. Hey, Nicole. So you know what? Last time I started off with a little prompt because I got to get y'all your juices flowing. Get ready to get into this. So you're going to say, if you haven't already, you don't have to repeat yourself. Hello, location, and one of your strengths. Okay, we're not playing around. We're talking about strengths today. We are not operating outside of our gifts and our talents. So I want you all to start getting into the strengths of who you are and what you were designed to do. Okay, so hey, Kenesha. Oh, hi from Minnesota. Hello, hello. Oh, from Philly. Hey, welcome back, Erica. Sorry for sent you. I'm missing everybody's names in the chat. So hello. Okay, so let me switch to my slides. We are gonna get started, but I just had to let the girlies, warm the chat up, okay? Because we're chatting today, okay? So let me make sure. It's not here. Let me try again. Window. Oh my gosh. Okay. I think that's it. Yay. Okay. I can see it. Okay. So we're going to start off with, and I will pause. Okay. We're doing engagement here. We're talking. So hello, your location, and one of your strengths. I know sometimes we don't like to think about our strengths. It's kind of rough, but I'm just going to encourage you to think about it for just a minute. This webinar today is actually inspired by one of my strengths. So we're going to talk about it, of course, all the different things that I love and kind of what I learned in my journey of, my last job search, of course, but also what I've been learning throughout as a reflection of that and how I love to show up for the beautiful Black women in my community. But one of my top strengths is continuous improvement. I love to see it. I talked to you about how last time one of my top strengths is a maximizer, and I think that's connected, right? I love seeing people, things, processes, whatever it is, be better than it was last time. I was watching this great podcast. I was like, our goal is to be just 1% better than I was last time I did whatever I did. And I think that's really the energy of what I do, right? Whether it's a webinar, whether it's my business, how I'm showing up for clients, absolutely. I aspire to just do something a little bit better. Hey, compensation elevation. Hey, how you doing, Denise, girl? Okay, so we have a Naima that says, hello. My strength is that I'm an organizational champion. Oh, tell me more. What does that mean? I know what it means, but I want you to tell me more. Get into it. I'm signed. Oh, hey, it's okay. You can step out. We'll see you when you get back, Erica. Okay, Stacy said her strength is being a people person, of course, marketing, period. And Felicia, detail-oriented, Barbara, adaptability. Okay, we love to see it. Okay, so as we keep going on, I'm going to encourage you to continue sharing, continue saying what you feel like you came here to say today. Get what you came to take out of today. But like I said, hello, my name is Mercedes. You're going to learn a little bit more about my story and who I am. I am in Gainesville, the Gainesville, Florida area. And one of my top strengths is continuous improvement, which is, of course, what this whole webinar is about today. So if you're just joining us, get comfortable. I don't do the one-way talking here. We're having a discussion. We're having a group call for the ladies who were here last time. They already know what time it is. So today we're talking about how Black women are strategic, specifically in this idea of taking a continuous improvement mindset to really reignite your job search. I know many of us out there are having a challenging time with the job market. And so I did a 3-part webinar series. This is day 2. If you missed day 1, okay, 1 second. Okay, I can't fix it from right now. Why do we do this? Y'all gonna have to give me a thing. I'm not gonna get it, am I? Okay, I'm not gonna get it. I'll get you later, Emmett. Say out my chat. We're not here for marketing, okay? So what I will say is we're here about continuous improvement strategies, right? So my goal here is for you to be able to leave this session today feeling like you can reignite your job search. I know if you're in this market, you may be having a hard time. Probably you are, because it's been rough, right? We're going to talk about that too. But my goal here is for you to feel reignited, to really take action and do what you need to do. Now, if you're here and you're not in the best mindset, I want you to continue to stay, right? We're here for the vibes, but I do want you to watch the previous day 1, where I talked all about really mindset and staying motivated and really helping you to feel inspired to move on and keep doing what you need to do in order to land your dream job and enter your career love era. Okay. And then of course I have one more, which is about monetizing your Black woman brilliance. So if you're here and you're enjoying this, make sure that you go watch the old one and sign up for the next one. Okay. So I've done talked enough. We are getting right into this. So before we get into it, I lied. I forgot this slide was in here. If you are enjoying this and you are enjoying me and you feel like this is a high value piece of content, webinar, whatever you want to call it, that you are watching, I would love for you to help me to share this movement online. My biggest goal and vision is for more Black women to feel truly empowered in the work that they do, how they show up and what they do. So if this content you feel is going to help another Black woman in your network who you love, a colleague, a friend, a family member, whoever, please share this. You can share it, you can like it, you can follow, subscribe, whatever you feel right, engaging. But I would absolutely love for you to help connect this type of content with other Black women. So thank you for sharing, okay? Oh, okay. And Faith said continuous. Okay, we got the continuous improvement girlies here. Okay, welcome. All right, keep putting your strengths in here. So if you already know what we talking about, what's going on first. Okay, so I want you to know what we're doing, the purpose of this webinar today. So this is all about taking action on your job search, right? This is going to be an action-oriented, tactics, strategy-oriented webinar, right? We're not talking about the hacks, okay? Because I know so many of us go out there and we get extremely overwhelmed by all of the do this to your resume, do this, do that. This is what you say in an interview. This is what you don't want to say. Those are all things that are very minor. And sometimes, for Black women, they don't count, they don't work. But also, they sometimes don't work in every situation, right? So my goal here is to think strategically about what we want. How do we want to show up? What do we want in our careers? What does that look like? Okay, so I'm not here. We are going to talk about the ATS because y'all always ask me, okay? I put the slide in there already because y'all come from me that, okay? But we are talking about real strategies that can help you really take your brand to the next level in your career so that it can support your job search. We are not talking about those little hacks here and there. If you have a question about a hack, you want me to bust a myth, I will do that. Let me know in the chat. This is a two-way conversation. Okay, so just, feel free to let me know anything that you might have questions about as we go through. My goal here is to support you and help you move forward. So yeah, let your girl know if there's any hacks, questions you got, okay? But we're not talking about the hacks. Okay, so today, I like telling my story with you all because I feel like the examples and also what resonates for me, just also saying like, hey, I'm not just a career coach that's just like out here spewing, again, hacks, common job search strategies. I'm really talking about my story and what I learned with you all. So that's what we're doing today, as we have done for our last webinar. So we are talking about the 4 lessons. I got 4 lessons this time instead of 3, okay? We got a lot to jam in here. So the first lesson is still about clarity. It's a different element of clarity. So last time we talked about this idea of, what is the mindset behind getting clarity. And today we're talking about a actual tactical tool that you can use. Then we're going to talk about branding. Again, we talked about this energy of who we are and how we show up, but today we are actually talking about really what it means to build a brand that's authentic to you, particularly for your career and your professional development. Then we're going to talk about storytelling. And then lastly, we're going to talk about authenticity. And if you stay with me until the end, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how you can get plugged in with me and my community. And I'm also going to be answering all of your questions. Yeah, whatever y'all got to ask about job seeking, I'm going to hang around until you're like, I don't have any more questions. Everything is clear. Okay. So, of course, as you're going through whatever that is, take your notes. Actually, I would say if you don't, I had somebody last week that was like, oh, I didn't get my journal. Get the journal, girlie. get the journal, okay? And because you're gonna need to write down some things. But also, if you have questions, it's a great way to get your questions written down so you don't forget them. Okay. I've been talking. So, first of all, how y'all doing? Okay. I know we checked in last week. How are y'all doing today? I'm reminding you with this is that this is a community discussion. So I encourage you to get in the chat, share, connect with others, and really see what's going on with each other, right? My goal here is to build this little community in this space. So absolutely tap in. Okay. And what I want to say in the mindset of this is it's unfortunate that we're in this space, right? Not just with this job market, but all that we have going on in the world, right? And the reality is that for a lot of us, it's not safe right now, either in the job market or where we currently are. We have so many Black women that have been displaced for this entire year, but particularly in April, there was 106,000 Black women who lost their jobs, and our employment rate is raising versus other groups, right, of women. And so I think one that says, hey, we do really need to lock in and work on our energy, feeling inspired, staying in a good headspace, which is again what I talked about our last webinar day. But for today, I want you to, even though you may feel like all of this stuff is going on, it's a swirl, it feels hopeless, I'm burnt out, right? I have all of this stuff going on that I see with how Black women are being really impacted here. That is more reason to be strategic, right? It is not a reason to shrink or to settle. We're going to talk about that today. But my goal for you is to say, I understand this. I see this. We know it's really not safe for us out there, but still, nonetheless, we persevere. Still, nonetheless, we know what we're worth and how we're moving forward, right? So that's my goal for you here today. And I want to hear from you. Let's check in. Right now in your job search, what's really challenging you? Is it feeling clarity about your next steps? Is it writing your resume or wondering if your resume is right? Is it interviewing, whether it's, oh my gosh, I'm so worried about the interview, or maybe it's on the other hand of like, like I just keep taking my interviews? Or is it D that, girl, I would love to have an application and an interview, but I don't even know how to find jobs, which I heard y'all say on that poll. Y'all were like, we don't know where to find the job. So we're going to talk about all of that. So just let me know, show up and let me know, are you feeling A, B, C, D, A, C, B, D, whatever, all of the above? Like how are you feeling about your job search, and what do you really feel like is holding you back today? Oh, somebody there. We got more Jolene. Yes, that's what we want to see. Can you type? No, I'm just kidding. That wasn't your hand. Congratulations for your run. That's awesome, Jolene. Okay. Any other thoughts? What are you saying? What are you thinking? Is it clarity that you feel like is holding you back? Your resume, your interviewing, or just straight up finding the jobs? Hey, welcome back, Kimberly. Okay, one of Kimberly's strengths is being able to work in ambiguous environments and being resilient to see projects to a successful conclusion. Yes, we love to see it. Can just said D and C. Okay, we have finding jobs and interviewing. Okay, I see it. It's an interesting connection, right? Because you're like, yeah, if I find the jobs and I apply, I got it. Kimberly's B and D resumes and finding jobs. What else? Felicia C and D. Okay. I think we have most. Okay, y'all are really the D. Oh. Anyway, D is it. Okay, anybody else? Y'all are giving me what I need to focus in on, clearly. Okay, if you haven't gotten it yet, keep going. But I think we have C, D. We have one A. Okay, Felicia, there's one for the A. Okay, cool. Awesome. So, whatever you answer, you know how this goes, right? I got you. I created this webinar to support you in that, right? And what we're focused on today is really helping you create an audit, almost like look at your entire job search and say, hey, this is what's going right. This is what's going wrong. Here's what I really need to focus in. Because one of the things that I notice is that because we are frustrated, we aren't always looking at all of those things objective, right? And so I'll have a Black woman come to me. She's like, oh, I really need to work with you on your resume. And she'll come to me and I'll say, oh, okay, well, what's going on with your resume? And have you gotten any interviews? And she'll be like, oh, what? No, I've gotten interviews. I was like, well, it's not a resume issue, right? We have to really understand what's shifting and what levers we can pull, right? Because if you're saying you're getting interviews consistently, then that's what you need to focus on, your interviews. And that's what's stopping you, right? Versus the other way around. So, okay. Well, D's. Okay, we got some mix here now. All right, cool. Awesome. So if you're here, I know I have lots of familiar faces, but if you don't know me, my name is Mercedes Swan. I started off my career in human resources. I went and got my bachelor's and my master's. My bachelor's was in psychology and my master's was in management. I decided that I really wanted to use this understanding and passion for psychology to really shift the workplace and create a place where people want to work, right? We know how rough that is. Little naive Mercedes in college was like, yeah, it's a great workplace. It's like, okay, now it's really rough out here. But that's okay. I feel like I still made a lot of impact anyway. I started off my career as an HR intern, and then I eventually pivoted into diversity, equity, and inclusion. Along my way, I was really understanding and really thinking about the dynamics of how people show up when they connect with human resources, right? And in my space at the time was really recruitment, where I was just like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? Like, this is crazy. Why would you show up to an interview like this, right? And it wasn't until I grew and I learned that I understood a lot more of the systemic inequities that marginalized groups in general, but of course that Black women face in the workplace. And so as I've grown, I became the career love coach. I launched my business and I started providing coaching services and spaces for Black women, but of course have evolved across the way for that. But that is what I do. And that is what I love doing. I love showing up and helping Black women navigate and really see themselves and what's possible for their career, right? So that's my story. And here are all of my loved people on here and my loved babies, my little doggies, okay? So as I mentioned, I've gone through this journey. Yes, you getting the okay? I think you showed up a little bit late. I already got the ATS in here because y'all always ask me about the ATS. So we're talking about the ATS. Thank you for adding the option, Kimberly. But I started my career off as an HR intern. And then I kind of grew, right? I had this trajectory and this goal of becoming a chief human resources officer, right? So I became an intern. I moved into the generalist role. I took a specialized role as a talent consultant to become an executive recruiter. And then after all of this work, I was able to be promoted into my first manager level role, which was to be an HR manager. It was really this pivotal thing. But okay, we talked about the toxic pieces before, right? But I was in a toxic situation that really deeply impacted my mental health and made me making the transition into my next role really hard and challenging. So what we're focusing on today, we will continue to focus on, is this moment here and me getting from this HR manager to the diversity manager role where I was most excited, right? So today we're going through the tactical elements that really helped me get clear and able to move forward from a role that I really loved and that was a great opportunity, but actually was no longer in alignment. And I couldn't see that until I had this moment. And so this is how I made it across the road. I guess I crossed the street. How am I crazy across the street? Yes, Barbara said, I'm currently employed. I'm here to support other Black sisters, period. Drop the knowledge in the chat, Barbara. Okay, so in my last job search where I was telling you it was that moment, I was in a really rough place. I had been job seeking for like a year and I had applied to like literally hundreds of jobs. Nothing was working. And then once I kind of switched, right? I actually got the clarity after applying to 100 jobs and I was like, oh, that's not what I want to do. I'm actually kind of glad this didn't work out. And then it was kind of this journey, right, of saying like, oh, okay, so I know what I want to do now. I figured it out. I want to do diversity, equity, inclusion. And then that's when the point when I knew where I wanted to go, but I did not have the confidence to do it. And then because of that, I was taking interviews. Like, I mean, I had received director level interviews, and I was like, I can't talk about my skill set. I'm not confident in that. And so I really had to take time to really shift and understand how I needed to really discuss and package my skill set. And that's part of this audit, right? So then I went from this space of like, I was tanking interviews to really knocking them out of the park. And I'm going to tell you all of the different things that I learned and did in that. And I think this piece that was becoming really, really challenging to me is that I was very desperate to leave. And so all of this really impacted my mental health. And I wasn't making really logical decisions in this. And I wasn't being strategic in how I was spending my time in my job search. So that's all that we're talking about today. And so when I decided, hey, I'm ready to conduct this audit, I'm so ready to do and think about things a little bit differently. I did a couple of things, right? I spent time on really deciding, hey, what does my career love era look like? What would it look like if I really loved my job again? If I really love what I did, I really loved who I worked with. It was the perfect situation for the life that I want to live, which by the way is a digital nomad. Okay. So y'all know I was already going for the remote work. Okay. And travel and things like that. I also took time to redefine my brand, right? I decided, hey, these are some of the things that aren't really working well in my resume as well as my interviewing. How do I shift those things to start telling better stories in both my resume and my interviewing, right? And the last thing is that I got authentic. I was not really showing up as my full self to interviews. It was very clear when I wasn't connecting with people. And I think that's what, honestly, after I had a couple of interviews and I wasn't getting my offer, that was one of the issues that I had, right? So authenticity and relationship building is also really important for us, not just for a successful job search, but also for keeping us safe in the workplace. Okay, so we're going to talk about that too. Oh, okay. I'm going to come back to that too. Oh, okay, Barbara. Barbara's, I'm dropping the ATST. Okay, so this first lesson that we're talking about is to seek clarity, right? And I said I was not clear on my career love era. I was going on the path to the CHRO role, and it was not where I should have been. And I didn't know it at the time. And so I really had to figure it out and redefine it, as I just mentioned. And so I then decided to say, hey, I'm actually going to take a step back and I'm going to redefine things like my passion and my strengths and my ideal experience, which is why I encourage you all today to talk about your strengths, right? Because that's part of it. If we don't really connect with ourselves first, we often just go through the motions and pick the next step in our career, even if it's not something that's really going to define us, right? So it's a challenge, right? So it's time for us to make sure that we are defining these things first before we move forward, okay? And one of my favorite tools, if you've been here before, you know I talk about ikigai, so I'm blue in the face. Okay. Ikigai is a Japanese word. It means the reason for being. And it's a way to get really clear on what your next steps in your career should be. So in Ikigai, it is not my proprietary, method or tool, but it's something that I go through with my clients and my community members to help them really think through things that is going to help them become more aligned in their career in terms of what they want to do. And this really looks like a massive brainstorming session. So you ask 4 things. What do you love? What the world needs, what you're good at, and what you can be paid for. Once you start to do the brainstorming, it's almost more than likely that you are going to find a overlap or a connection between all of those things in a way that helps you move forward and saying, hey, this is really what I should want to do. The thing that's so amazing and also really critical about Ikigai is to make sure that there is an overlap, because if you don't, sometimes we have things that we're really passionate, we're really good at, but the world doesn't need, and then we're out there looking for the job and we can't find it. It doesn't mean that we can't do those things, because it means it's a gap, but it might not be the option that you find as a job, right? And so being able to consider all of these things allows us to really move forward in a way that's aligned for what we want and also aligns with the market, right? So I don't know who was talking about fit, but I don't know if Stacey was talking about fit related to this, but this is that piece of all things fitting together. And again, this is the strategy piece, right? I'm not just looking at one element. I'm not just looking at what I'm doing right now. I'm looking at, from a continuous improvement standpoint, what really fits here? What can I do better? What direction can I go here? And how am I really analyzing my job search and what's going wrong? And so for me, I did this exercise, right? And I began to really understand that even though I was, I had recruitment in my Ikigai, there were a lot of things that were really missing in just looking at recruitment roles because they didn't have a big DEI lens, right? It wasn't, it was almost like my center was slowly moving over to DEI, right? So much so that I was going to interviews and people were like kind of looking at me like, girl, are you trying to do DEI or are you trying to do recruitment? I was like, both. I don't know what's wrong with you. Like, they're all together. So it was causing issue. And I don't mean that in a bad way because it just meant that it was no longer aligned. I hadn't figured that out yet. Right. And so in this case, that was one of the first pieces that allowed me to start auditing my job search because essentially not being clear meant that I was showing up as in interviews out of alignment. Right. So if I would go and just talk about DEI, of course, that recruitment person is going to be like, I don't really know if this is the right job for you, right? And so when I went through this exercise, I pulled out some keywords that were really standing out to me of things that I really wanted to do in my next steps, right? I wanted to do DEI. I wanted that DEI to be connected to human resources. I love program management. I love training and I loved consulting. Okay, those were things that had always been true, but it had evolved to include the DEI and more centered that, right? So for the girlies here who are saying, I cannot find a job, there's pieces of that says, okay, I can't find a job because I'm interviewing for the job, but I'm not getting the jobs. That's next. For you who are going out there and say, looking at LinkedIn or ZipRecruiter or any of your favorite job boards, Built-in, Otta, whatever it is, and you cannot find the job that you want, I'm going to encourage you to do this. Take a step back. Stop typing in job titles. Start typing in the results of your Ikigai exercise, right? So instead of me going out there and saying, I want to be a DEI manager, I'm actually going to just type in something that's DEI, or I'm going to type in program, diversity, program inclusion to see what comes up. So if you're finding, so let me know in the chat if you feel like you've had a challenge with finding jobs, you're just typing in things and not really finding a job that really aligns. Let me know. Oh, I'm missing. Okay, I'm like people hyping up in the chat. Stacey said 2 interviews today with round 2 interviews tomorrow. Every time I think I interview. Oh, okay. We're going to talk about that, Stacey. We're talking about that. But congratulations for them. Yeah, keep going. Keep going. Okay. I was given the feedback that I have updated my resume to reflect my skills in the body of my resume now. Okay, awesome. Oh, okay. Thank you for hyping each other in the chat. We'd love to continue to see it. Okay. So this is my big advice here, right? If from a continuous improvement standpoint, if you are looking for a job and you find that you're not finding too many of them, try changing your keywords to be a little bit more general and see if you're able to find jobs more. Now, the important thing that I really want to share here, we're talking about it. It's not going to be sad. We're talking about it, Stacey. But the thing that's going to be really helpful to think about here is to say, hey, I know that I'm looking for these jobs, but I only see 1 or 2. And I'm going to say that even seeing 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 each day, let's say 5 each day is actually not a bad thing. I'm learning that employers are actually shutting down. I think just because so many people are job seeking because of the layoffs and everything else, that they're just hitting their number of like, oh, we can't get more applications in this right now. That's crazy. Let's say it's 100 applications in 24 hours, right? So it's like, my recruiters can't go through more than this. We're going to shut the applications down. So just because you only see 1 or 2 today might mean that you see 1 or 2 tomorrow and the next day and the next day, right? So don't let that keep you back from applying, right? Okay. So this is my kind of like testimony, like picture, I guess, is when I went through this process and I got clear that I wanted to be a DEI program manager. I actually showed up completely different in how I was looking for jobs, right? And I found jobs that were in alignment, that allowed me to travel, that allowed me to do training, consulting, HR, and DEI, and I was able to land that job. And like, by the way, we're going to talk about it, right? But it was like a 90-day difference, whereas before I was applying for an entire year, it was just 90 days when I did this, right? So here's what we're going to talk about today. Here's the action that I want you to take from this. The first one is I want you all to go through that Ikigai exercise. I want you to get clear for yourself and see what the overlap might be. And then the second part is I want you to identify a function, right? So for me, I knew the function was DEI. I went to look for jobs because of that, and that enabled me to find more jobs, right? So that's the piece. What is your ikigai? and by the way, let's not do this, okay? One of the things that I don't want you to do is be sitting and applying to 100 different jobs. A lot of times when we are not clear on the job that we really want or that is most aligned with our ikigai, we end up applying to a ton of different jobs with different titles, different functions. And that actually really holds back our job search because we aren't able to really tailor the rest of our basically our skill set in our resume and our interviewing because we're constantly like shifting and switching, right? So all of that being said, really try and focus in on one area and do not apply for jobs that are out of alignment, right? I know in this market, it can be really stressful to feel like, oh my gosh, I can only find so many jobs, or I really need to find that job. But again, applying for jobs out of alignment eventually lead to challenges later, whether that's in the interview itself or once you're in that job because you're not fulfilled, you're underutilized, you don't like the job, all of those things. I want you to be in your career love era. And so that's why this is so important. Okay, so audit. Let's check in the chat and I'm going to catch up. Love all of the support in the chat. Do you have a clear direction for your career? Yes or no? Let me know. Do you have a clear direction for your career? Congratulations for all the interviews, ladies. Oh, these are beautiful. Okay. Oh, I'm so, oh, period. I'm glad they shifted you forward. The whole goal. All right. What do you have clear direction, or do you have clear direction for your career? Your next steps, what you're applying for, what you're looking for, the function. This is the audit piece, right? Hey, Chelsea. No, I'm developing it, period. I don't know if you just got here, but I just talked to you about the process of getting there. So go back. Go back afterwards. All right. Anybody else? Somewhat. Still a work in progress. I know that's right, Felicia. Cough, cough. Wink, wink. All right. So keep going. Keep telling me about whether or not you feel like you're clear. But again, if this is the part that if you don't have this first, this is where you need to stop to do the audit. Say, hey, I want to get clear. I'm going to use this tool to do this. Okay. I feel like I'm the brink. Oh, no. I feel like I'm in the brink of desperation. Well, what I would say for that, Serena, is, hey, that is okay to not feel like you got it together all the time. I don't always feel like I got it together all the time. That's okay. Okay. Oh, y'all should be crying in the chat. Okay, I'm trying not to cry when I'm talking. Thank you. Y'all are the sweetest. But what I would say is like, yes, there's times we feel that desperation. Still take time to reconnect with the clarity piece, right? Because we can feel desperation, but again, in the strategy piece, right? It's like, even if I feel desperation, but I know the direction, I can still keep heading towards it, right? And then when I'm in a better headspace, right, I can maybe I'm expediting that, right? So don't feel like the desperation piece can necessarily always keeps you back, because at some point, right, we can circle back and keep going. Yes. Okay. Lesson number 2, we're going. Creating a brand. Who feels like they have a brand? Tell me yes or no. Do y'all feel like y'all got a brand? I got a brand. Wait, Nicole, are you saying you have direction? I know you have direction. That's what we want to see. Clear. Okay, tell me if you feel like you have a brand, right? I think the interesting thing is that I had figured out what the brand was for a little bit, because I was like, oh yeah, DEI, HR, like I'm using my HR skills to do D&I, but I was not confident in describing what that looked like based on my past experience, right? I was not describing my Black woman brilliance. Ooh. Okay. Oh, updating. Yes. We want to see it. Okay. So if you were here and you're feeling like, hey, I don't even know where to begin to build a brand, I'm going to tell you, right? It's actually a lot easier. I feel like a lot of time when we talk about professional branding, we feel like we have to have some like jazzy pitch deck. We have to have some like elaborate fancy way to talk about our skills. No. Okay, Stacey, for the no brand, I feel you. Okay. I don't. I love y'all. Yes, for the transparency. comments, okay? So for those of you who said I don't have a brand, it's okay. I also started from scratch with my brand. But there's actually a really easy way to get clear on your brand. And that is to actually look at the market for the rebrand. Yes, it will get better, Sabrina, period. So for your rebrand, so let's say we have the girlies, whether you're clear today or not, you got clear on the job. I want you to just go out there in the market and look for a job, right? So for me, I went out there and looked for a DEI job. I'm not telling you that this is just what I did, like for funs and laughs and giggles. This is what I did. I went and found a DEI program manager job that I really liked. I got excited about it. I was like, this is amazing. And I wrote a whole new resume, a whole new brand based on that. So if you're here and you're like, I don't know how to get the brand, you don't have to figure out the brand. The employer has already decided the brand. Now, what makes it your brand is that you're connecting that. So that's step 2, right? So for step 1 is to say, I'm going to go look for a job and I'm going to see how they're defining their brand for what they're looking to hire, right? Because that's based on market, right? So if we're ever making decisions that's based on market, that's an issue, right? Because then we have a brand that nobody wants. You feel me? You see where I'm going with this? Okay, no brand girlies. Hey, Alita, welcome. CW, hey, welcome in. Okay, changing colors is okay. CW, I don't know if you just got here, CW. We need focus. We need a singular job function that we're looking for, right? So that's your first thing. So CW said, I feel like a chameleon changing colors just to try something. Events, executive assistants, project coordinators. The thing that's kind of sometimes insidious about this is that if you are a multi-hyphenate girl, okay, then you could really leverage your skills to do anything. Like I am absolutely sure that if at some point I want to go be an event planner, I could go do that. I think I would do great at it. Is it what's most aligned with what I want to do? Maybe not, right? So chase the joy. Chase what you're most excited to do and let that be your period of clarity, right? Because then the brand is authentic and we're getting to that, right? I promise you this is all building up on each other, right? If you're really excited and you love what you do, it will build. And so I want you to say, out of maybe all the jobs that I'm applying to, the events, the executive assistant, the project coordinator, what stands out most to you about what you want to do? And if that's the case, let's go ahead and find that job, okay? So you go to the job, you pull out all of the KSAOs, okay? HR Girlies Unite, okay? KSAO stands for knowledge, skills, abilities, and other traits. Those are really what's in the job in terms of what a recruiter is looking for, right? So we have a list that we're going through that says, does the candidate have this? Check, 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 check. Keep in mind, this is connected to that ATS conversation that we're about to have, okay? We need to make sure that there's alignment between what is in the job description, which is what should really be based off the hiring manager. And we have conversations all the time about how hiring managers can't hire. It's another story. But ideally, that's really what happens, right? And so then we're comparing your resume exactly to what the hiring manager wanted and what was in the job description. And hopefully we have a rubric, right? If we're being equitable in our hiring practices, we have a rubric. And so your ability to align with what's being asked for in the market, those KSAs, it's what's important. Sometimes when we're taking a pivot, we might not know what that KSA means, right? And so let's say for me, right, talking about critical race theory and connecting it to my work as human resources was something that I hadn't done at that level, right? So let's say I know about inclusivity, I know about equity, but I don't understand all the connections of race and hiring, right? So that might be something that I really need to get comfortable with in order to have an authentic brand, right? So now I'm saying, okay, let me go learn more about this, right? And so that I can connect it to this. And I can then align that with my skill set, right? So we have to analyze what employers are actually asking for in a job description, make sure that we understand that and say, hey, what does this really look like in a job? And then we can say, hey, have I done something like that? Have I done it? And if the answer is yes, it could be no. But it's probably you've done something similar, right? That's the basis of transferable skills. Okay, so then you can say, hey, this is the thing that I've done similar. Now I'm going to tell you a story, right? And the story is me telling you about a way that I've done that is aligned with your brand and also how I talk about what I accomplish, right? Because anybody could be a DEI manager, right? In some way, shape, or form, right? But do they have an HR lens like I do? Do they have a continuous improvement lens like I do? Do they have a consultative lens like I do? That's how my story comes together with their KSA. So this is a rebranding process. This is something that again you can take from scratch and start to rebuild your brand, okay? So let me know if you said, "Hey, I don't have a brand today," if this is making sense for you, because I know sometimes I could be talking in my HR language. It's like, that don't make sense, girl. So let me know if this makes sense. I just kind of talked to you a little bit about it, but just to provide an example, right? One of the KSAs on one of those jobs that I was looking at was the ability to deliver DEI trainings, right? And so if I analyze that, that's traveling to deliver a workshop, perhaps. Okay, let me think. Have I traveled to deliver a workshop? No, I haven't traveled, but I have delivered several trainings about inclusive recruitment and hiring and leadership. Sorry. And so that's how I'm aligning my skills, right? And that's that HR connection, right? And of course, when I'm telling this story in other cases, right, there's a lot more details that really gets into my brand. Okay, thank you, Dr. Anita. Thank you for confirming. I don't want to be speaking another language to y'all. And so in my story, right, then I was talking about how impactful it was to be training leaders across an entire organization that ultimately resulted to more diverse hires, right? It's an impact. It's all in alignment, right? And I'm adding even more flavor to that. Thank you. Yes. We love to see the more clarity, Felicia. So I went and rewrote the whole resume. This is my actual resume. I redacted some things so y'all don't show up at my house. Okay. I know y'all love me. Don't show up at the house. But I had a whole new resume, right? When we talk about tailoring, people are like, tailor this, tailor that, tailor that. What does tailoring actually mean? We've used the word so much, we've lost the plot. Okay, so for me, tailoring is this process, right? If I know what the connection is to the job, to my skill set, and I have it all in a resume, that is tailoring. A resume is also specific, right? So that's why I say to tell a story, not just to say, oh, I helped the organization hire more diverse talent. Okay, but what's the context? What does that mean? Why is that impactful, right? And so you'll see on my resume here, right, where I'm talking about these skill sets and how I'm really driving change, right? Hiring and retaining diverse talent, right? Me going back as a recruiter, I'm like, where are the numbers at, girl? Okay, I gotta gather myself. It's okay, I'm not job seeking right now. But that being said, like, this is a whole new brand that really actually minimizes a lot of my HR experience in this, right? You don't really see HR here. I'm fully brand, even though I've been in HR for my entire career and it's connected. This looks like a DEI resume through and through, right? A consultant, right? Somebody who's managing a program, right? I think you see it once, twice. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about, right? And it's almost like that old brand of who you were doesn't really show up that much, right? That is a new resume. And so when I say I started from scratch, I did not reuse anything from my old resume. Everything was from scratch. Okay, maybe 3. Okay, we got the SHRM certification there, okay? All right. So here, come here. I will hug you if you need a hug when I say this. Do not write a general resume that can be used to apply to multiple positions. I will repeat it for impact. Do not use a general resume to apply to multiple different types of positions. I know it sounds good because the tailoring process is rough. I know it sounds good because we have to apply to so many jobs. Do not do that, because what happens is that you are not aligned to the job at hand. This is connected to the ATS. Okay. This is connected to why you might be getting screened out, right? Because if we are looking for like keyword density and making sure that you have a specific goal in mind, a role that your resume looks like it was designed for this role. And there are candidates in that pool who have said that, who have a resume like that, you are going to get screened out, right? And that's whether that's an applicant tracking system or a person. So general resumes do not work if it's an employer's market. If it's a candidate's market and there are more open jobs, like we had, like after we kind of came after that COVID, Pike, and everybody was getting hired everywhere, 2019. That is when a general resume will work. And I know that's why some of y'all like, I can't believe my resume is not working. It's because it's general and it doesn't work in an employer's market. Okay, I love you. I said this was love. I said it was love, 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 love. No general resumes. I'm going to come find you. I'm going to go to your LinkedIn and YouTube profile and find you. I don't want to see it. Okay, I'm sorry. Absolutely. Okay, so the ATS. This is my little stop for the girlies that are stressed out about the ATS. Okay, no matter what you think the ATS is doing or not doing, the ATS is still at the end of the day programmed based on a person. And you might be saying, "Oh, well, it's screening." Okay, but who put the screening materials into the ATS, right? So let's say, oh, Google's trying to talk to me. So let's say this, right? I'm a recruiter. I say, hey, ATS, I want you to find this person. Here's my job description. Okay, yes, Stacy, for the brand, period. And Stacy, you have a brand because that's why you're getting interviews. Yes, see, it's working. Okay, anyway, I'll come back. But like essentially the ATS is still reading based on a job description, is reading based on a scoreboard, a metric, a rubric of some shape or form, right? Something that we're evaluating. So that she said boo. Who's telling me boo? Are we booing the job search or did I say something that triggered you? This are all the O's for me. Oh, okay, to the ATS, period. Yeah, I know. So anyway, that being said, the ATS is called the applicant tracking system. You are putting your resume into the applicant tracking system. It is screening your resume based on set criteria. I'm not saying it's not biased at times. What I'm saying is you have to make sure that you have the right keywords that the applicant tracking system is looking for. Y'all got me cracking up over here. Straight up cracking up. So in that case, right, if you have a tailored resume where you say, this is what the job said, this is what I have, I'm using their words, I'm combining our brand, I know I have the relevant keywords, the relevant KSAs in my resume, then you would not be getting screened out by the ATS. It might mean that they don't feel like you have all of the keywords or that somebody has more experience based on what it read or screened. That's true. Now, that being said, there are suits out there about talking about how the ATS AI has the same bias that people have, right? And that's a challenge across the market. I'm not about to gaslight y'all and say that's not happening. It's absolutely happening. But what I'm saying is if we're talking about beating the ATS and not being screened out, that's what it is. Now, one of the things that's important, and I think this is what Barbara was saying earlier about the ATS, you do need to make sure the key thing about your resume is that it needs to be able to screen, the ATS needs to be able to screen your resume. What does that mean? I can control finding your resume, right? I can do control find and type in, I don't know, process, and it comes up in your resume, right? So to Barbara's point, I think was what she was saying is if you can, copy and paste it into another document and it looks all right, then yes. Okay. And one of the things that right now I'm really doing is y'all saw my 2-column resume. I love a 2-column resume. They're beautiful. I love it aesthetically. Right now in this market, just because of all of the stuff going on, just do a 1-column resume because it has less chances of not being able to parse correctly, right? So one of the other things about this is if you load your resume into an applicant tracking system, let's say a Workday, and it can accurately say, oh, it pulled the dates and the title and the bullets, right? Then you know that the applicant tracking system can read your resume. That is the first thing. And then everything else is evaluating it based on the job, the skills that have been loaded versus what's on your resume. So if you need one tip to be really clear, make sure that the ATS can read your resume. However, the tactic or tool you want to use that I just mentioned, copy paste, no emojis. Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm sorry because y'all are giving advanced, okay? Because sometimes people don't know what the ATS is, which is fine. It's okay if you don't know, but y'all are giving advanced, okay? No emojis, no graphics, no things that a computer cannot read, okay? Period. Okay? If it needs to be read, it does not need to be in any type of graphic or emoji, okay? So let me get back. Make sure it's screening and then make sure that the applicant tracking system can parse your resume, okay? Make sure it's readable, make sure it can be parsed. Okay. Y'all are so fun. Okay. And by the way, okay, as a recruiter, I love my ATS. Okay, it's all a product of what people put into the ATS. Okay, don't come out here for the ATS hate. But I do know that we have a lot of people in my industry, in my field, that just talk about it a lot. Okay, so based on what you've just learned about this process of aligning the job to your skill set and talking about stories, not necessarily generalizations, Does your resume have a clear brand? Amen. Amen. We need systems. I don't know what you're amen into. Maybe it was my systems. Does your resume have a clear brand, ladies? Let me know. And two, I'm going to say this. This is my second part of my question, but this is a reflection. How many interviews are you getting? You know, the sad part is a couple years ago, I'd be like, oh, you should be getting really like an interview for every 5 applications. That's really more like 50 at this point. Like it's wild out there. Like it's really wild. So well, maybe 30. Let's say maybe 30, okay? So if this is the case, if you are applying and you are not getting any interviews, it is a branding problem. I need you to spend time on revising your brand and your resume based on what we've talked about today. Okay? Naima said, I mean, well, you got to interview, Naima. Okay, Chelsea. So no, it does not. And I had 0 interviews so far. So I want you to go back to the drawing board, say, hey, what brand am I really trying to communicate here? Is it aligned? And if it's not aligned, how can I make it more aligned? Okay. So there we go. Keep letting me know. So the way to tell whether it's your resume or not is how many interviews you're getting. That's the audit. That's the T. All right, ladies. Okay. Lesson number 3. I might need to speed up. I'm going a little bit too much. That's okay. Let me chill. The lesson 3 is what is your story, right? So if you have a brand, your brand needs to communicate a story. Okay, that's a good ratio, Jolene. 2 from 10 is really good. It's not a resume problem, Jolene. As long as those jobs are what you want, it's not a resume problem. It's an interview. Okay? All right. So what I was telling you about my journey, and I'm going to tell you about this, like it was the most awkward interview I ever had. I didn't like the lady when we got on, and it just totally threw me off and it was worse. But either way, it was not a compelling story, okay? Interviewing at its basis is storytelling. If you can tell a story, a good story in an interview, and you connect with the other person, everything's out the window. We want to talk about all these special things or having all the right words. No. Interviewing is storytelling and connecting. Aligned storytelling, okay? Not just any story. Let me say that, okay? So I went into an interview. It was the one I was like traumatized about this because I was like, oh my gosh, this is a great opportunity to program manager for a tech role. They're in HR. This is so exciting. I went in, the lady was talking to me. She asked me a question about programs that I built. And I was like, oh yeah, I've been managing a program. It's called the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Program. And we're launching it. We have all of these things. And she was like, oh, well, what happened? Like, is it finished? And I was like, oh no, but we have all this blah, 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 blah. I'm just telling her about how excited I am about this project. And she was like, oh, okay, well, we would definitely need to have some examples of things that you finished. And I was like, girl, why did I tell this story? It's not compelling. There's no end to this story. I told about something that was still in progress, right? And it doesn't mean that if you have something that's really impactful and you have some wins that you can't share that. But there were so many other stories that I could talk about delivering training, about the certificate program that I was supporting with full search programs that I was creating to be for inclusive hiring, right? But I chose to tell the one that did not have a compelling story because there was no end, right? And so sometimes we say, oh my gosh, I'm not cut out for this job because I bombed the interview. And it's like, actually, wait a second, back up. Let's think about the stories that you are telling right now. Okay. Kimberly, honestly, one interview for 20 to 25 is actually still okay in this market. I need some room in this conversation. Period, Stacy. Review and realign. Okay. So it was tanking because I didn't tell this story in this way. So if you have never heard about star stories, this is our tactical, right? Every section has a tactical piece. I want you to start talking about your stories that you tell in interviews this way. What I always recommend is to come up with a list of stories that are relevant to the job prior to going into your interview. So if you are going to interviews and you are tanking them, I need you to work on this. This is it. For every single story that you think you might want to tell that's relevant to the job and based on your background and experience, I need you to map out the situation, the task, action, and the result. So think of the situation as a context, right? I worked at this organization. This was a team. This is what I was doing. Then it's the task at hand. Like I needed to accomplish X, Y, Z. I needed to finish this project. I needed to help do this. I needed to streamline this. I needed to transform this, right? We're talking about stories. So it's not just like I went to work and I met colleagues, right? We need to talk about impactful things, right? So what was the thing that you need to accomplish? Action, the action that you took to do the task, right? So I met with stakeholders, I created a project plan, I created something, I implemented it, right? And then as a result of that, as a result of taking the action, this is the result of what I did. Here's the story that I have to tell, right? And so for me, right, I was creating all of these DEI programs that I wasn't comfortable calling DEI programs. And once I shifted that in my mind, I said, this is a DEI program, girl, get it together. Then I was able to say, and the result is that now we had a diverse candidate pool. We were able to hire 30% of our hires were diverse candidates who are underrepresented in our organization is what I should say. Everybody is a diverse candidate. And so by me being able to re-understand the story that I was telling, I could better talk about my results and actually talk about things that were in completion. And that allowed me to be a more compelling storyteller. I could tell when I started telling these stories, people were like, oh, 30%? I know, right? So here's the piece for this. As you're telling your stories, whatever it is, you can take those same KSAs that you wrote for your resume, and now you can tell a story about them. It's important that the stories that you tell would be important to the person that you're interviewing with, are aligned with the position, right? So if I'm applying for a DEI role and I go talk about, it's just another role, I don't know, maybe that time I made a training system, right? That's one of my most impactful stories. But if they're not asking me to create a new training system for them, that story is not aligned, right? So we have to really think about the stories that we're telling to make sure that there's a connection. I don't know why I'm pointing over here. This is the non-existent past job. Okay. And then we have to make sure that they are impactful, right? They really shifted, changed, did something different for the organization. And then we also have to be clear about being value-based, meaning whenever we're telling a story, we have to align and tell an employer directly what is the value of this, right? If I can help this organization to increase the diversity of their candidate pools by 30%, that's valuable for somebody that wants to increase their diversity pool, right? So we have to start connecting. This is the strategy here. It's a through line of everything that I'm saying. Everything from the clarity drives right through to the offer. Okay. Woo! God, I thought I was lying, but only received one interview, and it was through a connection. I'm trying to relocate and elevate from the current role. Okay, Anita. Dr. Anita. I would also like to look for a job in these economic times. Oh, yeah. Yes, it is. In fact, pushing through, applying, being here in the workshop, doing the work means you're on the right track. Period. Yes, you're working towards it. That's all we need. I'm not tracking my time toggle. Okay. Sorry if you saw that. So here's the things that I want you to think about right now. When you are going through and you are yes, the results matter. Yes. Jolene, the results absolutely matter. So this is kind of connected to the specific thing, right? If you are saying results like, oh, and we, help the organization. Okay, but what does that mean? I know I'm being a little sassy when I say this, but like in reality, what does that mean? Like anybody can help an organization. Does that matter to me as an employer? And that's why the results matter, right? So if I were to say, oh, I increased the candidate pool by 5%, that might be impactful for some organizations, but the organizations that are really trying to make change, does that mean something? And so a lot of times, this is a key in your interviews. If you are having a lot of follow-up questions about them asking you to clarify something or say more, that often means that you're not being specific enough and the result numbers matter. Now, if you are in a space where you don't have your metrics, one, this is good for, like I coach a lot of Black women that they don't keep their metrics. One thing about me, I got my metrics. Okay, I got my metrics saved in a Google Drive or Notion. They're somewhere. So if you don't have access to that right now, do that moving forward. Make sure that you get and collect your numbers. And also on the other side of that, like if you're doing something where it's not really tangible results, right? And you don't have the metric, that's okay. Still talk about impact, right? So maybe for me, right, it was like, oh, we had a more inclusive organization, right? Yeah, I'm getting to it, Chelsea. I think I'm a little bit lagged, but yes, if you don't have a lot of quantitative data, oh, well, this is how it transformed the organization. Suddenly, everybody was more productive. Suddenly, everybody was working together. Our project moved forward faster because we did this XYZ thing, right? So if you can still be specific about the results, but you don't have the numbers, that's something that you can do. But I think if you can ever share the numbers, even if it's not all of it, it's still important. So for instance, one of the numbers for me is saying, oh, I worked at an organization with 50,000 employees, right? That's impact because of the scope. So you can be creative. Okay. Yeah. And the other thing when you're talking about specifics is sometimes I will find that we are not telling enough detail when we are interviewing. And so we need to take a step and say, based on my answer, yeah, based on my answers, could the person on the other side of the table do what you did? Right. And we're not giving them all the secret sauce, right? But I'm saying is like, if I don't understand the steps that you took, I don't really understand whether or not you have the skills to do what I need here. Right. So we have to be clear about that. And that happens a lot when people are still in the same industry. They think that essentially they will read between the lines of what they did. Don't do that. Don't assume. Sometimes people don't know. Sometimes people don't do it. Especially hiring managers, they're not in the details. They don't know. It's like, oh, okay, that's impactful. I can't believe you did all of that. Okay. So here's the audit. If you are getting an interview, but you're not moving to the second round of interviews, this is where you need to focus in. You need to focus in on your stories and whether they're impactful or they're aligned. Okay. So for my interviewing girlies, this one is for you. Get your star stories together. Okay. Lesson 4. What is the vision? Okay. What is the vision? And I think that's important. And this, I will say, having an authentic vision that you have for yourself of being in a role is going to be important no matter what type of position you're applying to. But this is really, really important for people who are looking at higher level roles. So you're a senior role, you're a manager, you're particularly for leaders. I don't know if we have any of you all in here who are applying for director level roles. This is important. And so I want to make sure that as you're going through, you say, hey, I know what it would look like for me to be in this role, right? I have impact. I have a vision. I understand my connections, right? And for me, that was understanding the importance of how HR enabled me to be a good DEI professional, right? And transform workplaces to be more inclusive, right? That's the authentic vision that I have that I did not have at the beginning. I was like, oh yeah, I'm just, I've done DEI training. I've taught people about DEI. Maybe even I know that I'm hiring diverse talent, but like, what is the vision of that? And this is where we really get stuck in that final interview because we haven't communicated that vision of who we are holistically. And this is the piece that you need to focus on. Okay, so where is a place to store that's not attached to the work computer? Okay, Jolene. So really quickly, I don't care where I'm working. I have my stuff always backed up, right? So I finished a project. My performance reviews, all of that stuff. I don't wait until something's wrong or I'm about to leave. All of that stuff is always backed up. When I was early, and I mean, even this from an intern, right? I have my metrics from it being an intern. Okay, that's what HR will do to you. Okay. I had them all backed up, saved in an Excel, saved in Google Drive, right? So I would just save it. What is a thumb drive? I don't care. It's there. Okay, don't take proprietary information. Don't get in trouble. Okay, I'm still your HR friend. Don't do that. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. Stacy has a brand. Okay. Yeah. I went to another candidate. Okay. Yep. Okay. So Julie Nicole said, anywhere, girl, anywhere. Put it wherever you need. Write it down if you need. Get the tablet out. I'm sorry. Oh, scratching in the tablet. But yeah, so I would say alignment, this is one of those pieces, right? And it doesn't mean, it really could mean that you had a really competitive, it was really tight. You were really talented. The other person was really talented. That happens, right? I'm not going to say it doesn't happen. But what I will say is that in the case that you were in that consistently happens to you, get to the end stage, it means that you haven't communicated a vision or you haven't connected with the person on the other side. So that's important, right? People, if you communicate a vision, are going to be really excited about you, right? Yeah. Okay. So these are the pieces, right? Yes, Dr. Anita, sorry. Good Lord, I'm talking too much. Okay, so these are the 4 pieces of that. Build a relationship. When you're getting to that final stage, you're less likely to talk about your stories in the way that you did earlier on, because earlier on you are more communicating like what you've accomplished. You're really trying to prove the skill set that you have, right? I know proved is a loaded word for us as Black women, but just take me at face value of like, I'm trying to showcase, I'm providing the evidence of why I do what I do and why I do it well. The end stages are more about relationship. You're building a connection with the person. You want to ask questions about their goals, their vision, what they want for the role, right? And you're responding to them by building an authentic connection. It's important too because your ability to build that connection also lets you know whether this is a place that you want to be in, right? Our ability to vibe with somebody in an interview is indicative of our ability to vibe with them when we get the job, right? And so it's good for you too. Two is to demonstrate the value, right? And so I mean, it's a nuance, right? But the result is different than the value, right? Because the result is something that you did there. The value is that what you continue to provide as you move forward, right? So I'm going to demonstrate the value that I might provide if I were selected, right? That's a subtle shift, but you want to always be thinking about that each time you connect. Again, vision, communicate what it would look like to work with you, and then also to authentically show up for yourself. I want us to get away from this feeling that we have to show up in this cookie cutter box of what it means to be successful in a role or to fit in, quote, and fit in with this corporate culture, right? Because the issue with that, like, I want you to smile and laugh and have a real good time and be yourself and not code switch in your interviews. I mean that because it's going to do two things, right? If they decline you, it means that they were not based on how you show up authentically. It means that they weren't going to accept you for who you were, right? And if you do show up as your full self, it means they're more likely to accept you for who you are, right? So when I tell you I show up with the same energy to interviews, I didn't when I was trying to get out. And it was very uncomfortable and I really hated my job. My jobs or what the jobs that I was looking at, I was like, "Ooh, these aren't right." But when I started to show up authentically, I really connected with the other people and they saw that excitement and they saw my commitment and my goal and my passion. And that's one of the big reasons that they hired me. Okay. So, yeah. So, we talked about the star stories, but this is the piece that you have to connect better if you are getting to final stages, but you're not getting hired. You need to start answering for yourself why it's important and relevant to your next employer based on your skill set. Why are you? Why are the things that you can do in your skill set valuable to them? So this is not a very quick answer, okay, right? You got to think about it. But in my case, like I said, it was because of my unique connection of training, DEI, and HR that made my next employer really excited. One thing that you might also say, I've been really talking. Woo! Talking. I talk more this time, but I was really trying to get really trying to lock in for you all to get all this content out. But one of the things, I lost my train of thought. It's gone. Anyway, value add. It'll come back hopefully later. Okay. So, stories. Sis, don't fake it. I don't want you to show up to be anybody but yourself. I do want you to negotiate. We think in this job market, just because we need to be grateful for a job, that we can't negotiate. The worst thing that you can do going into that is feeling like you have undersold, that you're not being valued for who you are, right? So please negotiate. Please ask for what you're worth, right? And also, the other piece of that is if they aren't okay with you negotiating, then how flexible are they going to be for you in the future, right? Because I hear you and you're like, oh, well, if I negotiate with them, they might rescind the offer. Do we want to work for somebody that is that fickle? Because that gets you back to work. I say this, if you're unemployed and you go for an employer that is fickle and has a terrible work environment and has layoffs and is non-negotiable, you might just be back in that cycle. You hear me? So I don't want you to be going through this to be where you are. So negotiate, right? And don't shrink. I do not want you to shrink and think and undersell your skills, right? So one of the things I hear all the time is, I took the doctor off of my resume. I took some education. I kind of dumbed down what I was doing. And I was like, okay, but you're not going to be dumbed down when you go. Okay. So Anonymous says, when an interviewer gives you feedback about your interview performance, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Not necessarily. So some recruiters will always provide feedback. That's part of their process. They'll say, hey, just wasn't a good fit because of this, or hey, I really like, the team had a really great time interacting with you. I wouldn't see those as necessarily good or bad. If it's afterwards, I mean, then you already have a result and but I don't think in general, if you have feedback about your performance, that's good or bad. Now, I had somebody like sometimes I would pause, like it wasn't a standard process where I previously worked to provide feedback to everybody, but there have been some times, and they were particularly Black women because you know about how I be, um, where they had really great skill sets, but because of some of the things that I'm talking about here, about the results, about the alignment, about the brand, they didn't show up as strongly as they could, right? And so then I was like, hey, I just want you to know, like, you have a really great skill set, but the way that you positioned it in this interview, and really, I couldn't make a hire. I couldn't hire you based on this because it's not alignment, right? So sometimes good or bad, take it or leave it. I hope I'm answering your question. But if not, let me know. Okay, so here's the audit. Think about your last interview. Did you feel like you demonstrate value, and did you feel like you demonstrated authenticity about who you are so that you can kind of communicate this vision? Let me know. Oh, Stacy said PrepCast helped her move at her own pace, took a test, questions every day, and created a war room. Wait, war room in the kitchen. Oh, wait, that wasn't Jolene said that. Sorry. I see it was you were talking to Stacy. Are you demonstrating value and authenticity? Any thoughts? Y'all a little quiet right now. What's that mean? What does that mean? Okay, great. Thanks. Can I negotiate over the posted salary? So, Jolene, yeah. So, one of the things that I would say is like if the range is not far off, like if the range is $20,000 off where you need to be, or something like 15,000 even, mm, mm, that's a little bit of stretch. Now, there are some companies that'll just be like, hey, Salacia. um, but yeah. Ooh, but I think I was overqualified for the position. Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm just getting in trouble. Wait, why would that be getting you in trouble? Let's unpack that. Okay, so if you are applying to jobs and you feel like you are overqualified, then that's not the job that you should be applying to. And your problem is clarity, not branding. Sorry, I'm going back to the question. Yes, you can negotiate over the posted salary if at the end of the day it's not too far off, right? So you don't want to be, going too far off. Like again, $20,000 might not be it. Now again, for some organizations, it's whatever. So I would say if that was the case, you might say something like, I've learned so much about this role. I'm very excited. Thank you so much for this offer. I'm really excited for this role. After I've begun to learn more about you and the role and the needs of this, the needs of the organization or the team, whatever it is, the project, I don't care what it is. I really feel like this is requiring an elevated skill set. And I think the salary range that would be fair for this would be about this. Is this offer negotiable? And like leave it open, right? You might leave in the amount or not, but you could always just ask, is the salary negotiable? And that always helps you to kind of feel them out and see what they're going to say. But again, based on the qualifications and the skills, make sure you're being paid appropriately. Okay? All right, so keep asking questions. Do we have any other questions about anything? I know I've gone through a lot. Let me go back really quick. So, if I called you out about the demonstrating value and authenticity that is overqualified, let me know if we got beef in the beef in the comments because I want to know. But for me here today, like my goal in this is to help you enter your career love era and to like really recap everything that we have talked about today. The pieces that allowed me to be in my career love era, a job that I really loved, loving what I did each day. I had to get clear about the right role for me. I had to rebrand myself, especially in a pivot, to understand what was going to be needed for the next role. I had to learn how to be authentic in my interviews, right? And really understand how to package that skill by really digging in and figuring out, hey, what are my stories? How do I want to tell this? And what's the impact and value that I provide? And I say all of that to say that I was able to land my dream job in 90 days after this shift, right? It wasn't before. Okay. Erica said, I think I provided authenticity in my last interview. I actually thought it was a great interview, but was ghosted. I was overqualified for the position. Last I checked, the position had not been filled. So I think it's interesting. So in the case that people feel that you're over, well, one, I continue to feel the same thought, right? If you feel like you're overqualified for a position, it probably means that you need to apply to a higher level position, because it means that when they hear you, they're like, oh, well, she's not going to stay here. She's going to be gone in a couple years, right? Or because she's overqualified, right? So we don't want to be in that space, right? So I will say this, see if that is the piece, right? But also you can ask for feedback. Are we making assumptions about the ghosting? I mean, ghosting is never good, but you can always circle back. You're welcome. Thank you for coming, Stacy. So as I say this, as we wrap up today, I know that this job market is extremely hard, and I know it makes it also hard to dream about the future and being like, oh, let me apply to higher level roles, and let me think about what it is that I really want, and let me not settle. But I don't want you to settle. I want you to think about what it could look like if you were to say, hey, I'm super clear on how to conduct a more effective job search. Wait, Jolene said no to 100K more. Probably not. Yeah, that's a whole nother position in the HR world. 100, depending on what the original salary was. I mean, if you're getting to a higher level role, where the starting salary might be 100K. And then oh no, I think I've reconnected. Oh, okay. I'm back. Sorry if I was disconnected. I'm back now. so so my goal here is not the right. Not the 100K. Okay, yes, final interview. Oh, we love to see it. Okay, I'm excited for you. You're gonna have to give me the details, girl. You're gonna tell me where you're going. Okay, so let's say this. What if you could get super clear on how to conduct a more effective job search, right? What if you could really land your dream job in that market? Okay. And so my goal here is to say, let's do this. Okay. And I want to know if you are ready for me to share with you how to enter your career love era. Like, yeah, get into it. So wait, Kimberly said, I always try to negotiate my salary based on similar roles. Yep, in the market, my skill set and level education, and this would bring my role to XYZ more. Can this amount be considered? Yes, Kimberly, we love to see it. One of the things that's so important, what Kimberly is saying, is that really it is so important to feel like you're negotiating in your own energy, right? And so for me, I'm a flexible person. I like to ask about flexibility. I like to ask about this and that, right? I also know that at the end of the day, I also did my research. So I'm like, oh, okay. Can you please, I know that this is my base salary, right? So I'll say something like, based on my skill set, this is the range that I was looking to be in, right? And some of us don't feel comfortable saying that, right? So always feel comfortable in saying and negotiating the way that feels best for you. Okay. So if you are ready to enter your career love era, I just want you to know that I have created a transformational space to support you. In my world, I want a world where Black women, they're able to do what they love, be well paid, right? All of the things in Ikigai, the clarity, right? The passion, the purpose, the alignment, the money, okay? And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to tell you about how you can enter your career love era in a space that gives you step-by-step programmatic support, as well as a community of other Black women to support you on your journey. And so if you are here, girl, and you are ready to be in your career love era, I'm inviting you right now to my career love community. It is my community that I created just for Black women. It is a private, safe, and positive space for Black women who want to build a successful career, also a business so that they can increase that financial stability and ultimately enter their Black women bliss era by being in a workplace and having a business that really supports their big dreams in sisterhood, right? And also with a proven framework, right? So this is what I do. So my goal in the community is for you to go to a space. You're welcome, Chase. Chelsea, thank you for coming. So my goal in this community is for you to go from a space of feeling hopeless and overwhelmed and feeling like you don't have direction or knowing what's next to feeling really clear, confident, and taking action in 30 days. And in the community, I actually have over 50 resources, training videos, and templates to support you in this journey. So I'm going to walk through each of the features if you want to join me right now. And also, if you have other questions for me as we're going through, feel free to type those and let me know in the chat. Okay. So in my first module in this community, it's all about Black women brilliance. So it's about understanding and getting clear on what really sets you apart in your career, right? What is your Black woman brilliance? How do you have an abundance mindset? Some of the things that we talked about in day one, right? How do you take action on all of these things that you have in your career and in your business to move forward? And then in module 2, it is all about career love, right? So you're going to take what you just learned about what it means to really be in your Black Woman Bliss era and really pursue a job that's going to support that, right? So I'm going to help you get career clarity. I'm going to help you figure out how to break that toxic job cycle. I'm going to help you really figure out what your dream job is and continue to move forward on the path so that you can move forward in a way that supports you in your Black Woman Bliss era, okay? There's also master classes. So for some of you all that were like the interviewing, right? I have some for that. I have some more support really helping you navigate your job search. Ooh, I see comments. Let me read that. And I also have some templates in here to help you move forward. So there are things like that if you need time to think, you need planning, you need strategy. They're all here in the templates in the community. Plus, you're going to get these bonuses, okay? So if you're going to join, you're going to get this entire training portfolio of resources to help you, but you are also going to get a community space. So we got a group chat. We have community circles, which offers a way for you to stay connected. So if you feel like you're going in alone, you feel like you don't have the support that you need, the community is absolutely going to be something that's going to support you with this community space that's designed to create a safe space for Black women, right? So we're not dealing with all this other stuff out here, right? You're also going to get this digital job search planner. So what I told you in this process, and I was having this really challenging time, okay, really navigating my job search, I actually created this job search planner so that I could better audit my job search, right? So in this planner, I kept all of my jobs, I kept all of my professional branding materials, all of my metrics, everything like that I was telling you was on a Google Drive. It moved over into this job search planner so that it can really support me moving forward in my job search in the future. So this is all included in the community, as well as Bliss AI. So in this case, for you who are saying, hey, I need to figure out what my ikigai is, I need to write my resume, I need help with interview prep, Bliss does all of this, and she's based on me, right? So essentially the way that I show up and coach my clients, I have basically loaded all of that guidance and information into Bliss, so it can be something that she can be somebody that helps you outside of group coaching and sessions and things like that, outside of the community to help you move forward to prep and everything like that. And one of the things that was really exciting is that I wanted Bliss to be like safe, because you know how we have those things on the internet where people are talking about like, oh, AI isn't safe for Black women. I really was intentional of how I created Bliss being based on my message and my beliefs. And so this is one of the community members that was just talking about her really great experience with Bliss. And so it's something that's really going to support you on your journey should you join the community and get access to Miss Bliss, because she is that girl. And you're also going to get a one-on-one call with me. So it's important for me that every woman who joins the community gets the support that she needs to get clear and figure out what the next steps are. So for every person that joins today, you are going to get a one-on-one 30-minute call with me to move forward. We're going to get you onboarded. We're going to talk about the best thing to focus on. We can even have it as a follow-up today of like, hey, I really need to get in the details of this authenticity thing, right? That is what we're going to talk about. And so that's all included. No extra cost to do a one-on-one call with me. Plus, you're going to get implementation support. So that is bi-weekly group coaching, bi-weekly accountability sessions. So that's where you kind of come together, work on those things, whether that's your resume, your interviewing, get feedback, be able to move forward in community so that you can like really get these things done. Because I know nobody likes writing resumes, right? And then we're also going to have monthly work groups where we come together to work on something that's important for the community. And so in my case, what we have coming up first, and I should say in this case, we have a LinkedIn work group coming up. So if you are here in this space, so I think it's mid-June, so mid June 17th or something like that, where we have it coming up. where we are actually going to work on our LinkedIn profiles together. So if you hear and you're like, I really need to get my LinkedIn profile together, these are the type of work groups that we go through in the community as well. So before we keep moving forward, if you decide to join the community today, you are going to get access to all 4 of these training modules. You are going to get the one-on-one call with me. You are going to get access to Bliss AI, and you are also going to get access to that community space and meetups. And also, your membership is going to would like to join, but maybe are not able to just because they're unemployed or laid off or other things like that. 10% of every paid membership is going towards a community member scholarship. And it's something that I'm just loving to be able to offer and to provide that space for other Black women who are not able to do that. Okay. And this is new for this. This is my one-time offer. I don't know if I'll ever offer this again. But if you want to join, because we were talking about job search strategy, if you join today, I mean today before midnight, I'm Eastern time. I'll give y'all on the West Coast some more time. If you join today, I'm going to give you a free resume review. So what I do is I go through your entire resume. I write it up. I say, here's what's working. Here's what's not working. If you join today, I'm going to give you a free resume review. Okay. All of this in the community, I know that as I continue to scale, I probably could be about $149 for the community, but I do still want it to be an affordable space. So at least for right now, I'm locking in the $49 a month for the community membership. So if you want to join, you can join today for just $49 today. And each month after, if you would like to join, if you also know this space is somewhere that you really, really want to be for a whole year, I know I'm a vibe. If that sounds like something that you would like to do, you can join annually for $490, right? And you save 2 months for that. So if you want to join, the link is below. I'm also going to drop it in the chat so you all can get it. You can go to mercedeswan.com/join. I'm over here looking because I'm posting it in the chat. But you can go here and you can join me in the community. Again, today for all of this, plus the fast action bonus with the resume review, if you would like to join me. Okay. So if you're here and you're not quite sure whether this community is for you, this community, the community and the goal and the energy and the spirit that I show up on my live webinars is the type of community that I cultivate in my own private community. I want Black women to show up. I want them to feel safe. I want them to feel supported and inspired to do the things that we need to do. And I'm a really strong proponent that the more that we really show up unapologetically and authentically in the work that we do and how we show up in our job search is really something that's going to help the next generation of Black women be able to do that too, talking about building wealth, talking about advocating for ourselves, getting the paycheck, okay, getting the negotiating our salary, right? And so this space is really designed for Black women who are advancing their careers and who are ready to take action, right? The platform and also my goal is very action oriented, right? So every time you watch a video, it's going to say, hey, you watched this video. Great. I love it. Here's something to do next to help you move forward, right? It's also for Black women who are wanting to get real, clear, and confident and strategic career advice. So we don't do the hacks. We don't do the just what's going to work for right now. We're thinking long-term. We're thinking strategically. And this is also for Black women who are looking to increase their salary. You're welcome, Jolene. So in this case, right, if you are in a space where at the very least you want a 10K increase, right? This training portal and everything that I'm teaching you in this has been responsible for women, Black women getting up to a $50,000 raise, right? So if this is something that you want to do, this is a part of that journey. It's going to give you the resources and tools to do that. Okay. Thank you. I love it. Okay. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a walkthrough of what to expect should you look to join. But again, mercedeswan.com/join. And you can text BLISS to 321-488-0808. If you would like to join, you'll get a text message that tells you all about how to join or the link to join. You'll get a page. You can sign up. And this is what it looks like. Okay. One of the things that I was telling you, this is based on my framework. This is based on me coaching Black women, right? And I know for us, so many of us, we just deal with so much toxicity. We deal with so many challenges in the workplace that we feel like we've lost our confidence. We feel like we don't know the next steps, what we should do, what we can do. And Ebony is the basis of a lot of this. She's one of my very favorite clients. We worked together. She went from a space where she was feeling very she was not confident in her skills. She didn't feel comfortable in interviews, really communicating that. And so she went from a space of not really feeling like she knows what to do next or what she can do. You're welcome. Good night, Felicia. And so this is that energy, right? Of saying, hey, I know what I can do. I've defined that and I've communicated it. And that's the type of things I'm teaching other Black women to do in the community. So if you're here and you're feeling like I can't do it, I don't have clarity, I'm giving up, the job market is trash, I feel you. I went through the things that I'm teaching you, and I teach from that standpoint of like, I know how rough it is, particularly when you're dealing with the emotional toll of a job search, that you can do it too. Okay. And my goal in this is to help you from from feeling burnout to clarity, from lack of direction to feeling very purposeful, from being underpaid and undervalued to feeling very abundant and equitably compensated, and also from going from a space of feeling like you are doing it alone so that you can feel supported in your next steps in a safe community for Black women. So we're going to the Q&A in just a minute, so go ahead and pop your questions on if you like it. But if you want to join today, again, it's $49 a month if you would like to join as a monthly member, or $490 if you'd like to join free or for annually. And then you also get a free shirt. I forgot to mention that. You get your little career love swag too in the mail. So it's mercedesswan.com. I popped the link to join in the chat, and it's also bliss to 321-488-0808 if you'd like to join. Okay. So if you join, you'll land on this website. Here it is, join. You'll see the options. Oops, that's my old pricing. You can pick monthly or annually. You'll get a pop-up where you can really log in, make sure you feel good, make your purchase. And then if you want to work with me one-on-one after that 30-minute session, you can add on mentoring if you'd like as well. And after you do that, whether you pick mentoring or not, you'll get to this page where your membership is confirmed, and you'll also receive an email that says you're in. You'll get to go in and say hello in the welcome party. This is what the login page looks like. You log in with the credentials that you just set, or if you forgot your password already, that's okay. You can click forget password, and then you will be able to access the community here. So you'll see the training portal as well as the community membership, which is where you can connect and post and get support, guidance, those types of things here. And then you'll see the community where you can basically join the welcome party and say hello. That's my mom. She said hello. She's in the community. Okay, so as we wrap up, again, here's the URL if you want to join, mercedesswan.com/join, or bliss to 321-488-0808. And if you're kind of on the fence, you're not quite sure whether this is the right community for you, I totally get that. I know there's lots of different communities out there. If you want to try it out, but you're not quite sure, there is a 14-day money back trial. So if you were like, hey, I got in, it wasn't quite for me, that's okay. 14 days and you can just get your money back. No questions asked. I don't require anything for that refund. You can do it that way. Okay. And you might also be asking, well, is this right for me? So this is right for you if you know for the next 90 days you're really committed to actively job seeking. You also know you want to be connected and involved. Oh, hey, mommy. Not you saying hello as I was talking to you. Where you been, girl? This is also for Black women who want to be connected in an inclusive community. And it's also for Black women who are also looking to be engaged in 1 to 2 hours each week to reach your career goals. So this is not something, oh, and Naima. Okay, girl. So I have had, honestly, 4 people. I'm sorry. It's not funny, but it's just the way that you said that. Okay. I had 4 Black women who reached out for a scholarship. I have 5 spaces. So if you want to go to the website, and at the very bottom, there's a link that says sign up for the scholarship. Go there, click it. Okay. Okay. So anyway, so if you are wanting to be in this community and you're ready to be engaged, I would say this is for somebody who's looking to at least dedicate 1 to 2 hours each week on their career goals, right? 1 at least for showing up and watching the training videos, the other hour at least for showing up at some of those community events, okay? So again, oh, you're welcome, Stephanie. I'm glad. So we have $49 monthly, $490 annually. You get all of the training portals, the one-on-one with me, Bliss AI, the community meetups, and you're also sponsoring a membership of other Black women in the group, right? So I hope that you decide to go on this journey with me. I'm going to bring down the slides so that I can connect with you and see if you all have any questions or thoughts that you all have as a wrap up. I hope that you really use this in your journey to really move forward and find success and move forward in your career in a way that helps you to really problem solve and think about things a little bit differently. So let me switch over so I can talk to you all, and I'm going to hang out and see if you all have any questions. So what questions do you all have? I know y'all got questions. Also, if you're here and you have any questions about the community, ask questions about the community. See if this is something that you would like to, invest in. Also, if you have any questions about anything that we've discussed today that you didn't quite feel like you got fully answered, let me know that as well. So I'm hanging out to see what y'all got. And I'm just going to sit here and just chill out for a little bit. Yeah. What questions? Okay, yay, Naima. I can't wait to see your scholarship application. The link is in the chat. All right. Let's see. Okay, I don't see any questions. Last session, you all were like a little shy with your questions, so I'm gonna hang out for a little bit. What questions do you all have? Going once, going twice. Any questions? Okay, I don't see any questions. So I'm going to wrap with you all. So let me go ahead and share the screen back so we can wrap. So again, if you are thinking about joining the community and this is something that you would like to do, let me know. You really have until the end of the night to schedule to get, sorry, I got distracted by Angela's message. I'm coming back, Angela. You have until the end of the night to enroll to get that free resume review included. I will answer any questions that you have in just a moment, but I do hope to see you there. Okay. Angela said, this was great. How do I schedule time with you? I have a full schedule and it's hard to fit things into my week. Okay, Angela. So if you're joining the community and you're basically leveraging that 30-minute session, when you enroll, you'll get an automated link to essentially schedule a call. If you are somebody that you really want to have a higher level of working together, so there are options for that. So that's mentoring, or that option is to do a 90-day program with me. So those are the two options that I have to work with you. So what I will do is I will connect with you and kind of send you the link above too. Oh, okay. I have, so Erica said, Mercedes, there's a question above. So I think I see, so I only see Anaima's question, which I think came after Angela's. Did I miss another question? Okay, let me know if I missed another question. I do see Anaima's question. Okay, let me know if I answered your question, Angela, but I'll connect with you after the webinar to do a call if you're more thinking about career coaching, one-on-one career coaching. Okay, so Anaima said, my question is when you said that you have to tailor your resume to the position. Okay, so let's get into that. So in this case, your goal is not to tailor a resume to to every single position, right? Because there are definitely career coaches out there that will say, hey, every single job you get, make sure that you tailor it to that job and then apply. I think that's really challenging in this job market. Oh, wait, what did I have done? This is that a thing? I think somebody said I'm good. Okay, I don't know. Tell me if I missed a question. So you don't want to necessarily be tailoring your resume to every single position because it just becomes too time-taking, particularly in this market where in order to get real traction in your job search, you're probably applying to at least 100 jobs. Like that's just unfortunately what it is. So in this case, you want to find a job that's representative of what you want to do. That gets back to that piece of like, what am I most excited about? What do I really want to do? And in that case, what you want to say is, okay, I see this job. Here are the KSAs, right? The knowledge, skills, abilities, and other traits that are in this job, right? So it's usually a list under responsibilities. Sometimes it's under qualifications. And you want to take a one-to-one look that says, hey, here is the job. Here's what they're asking for the job. In my case, it was training, right? So then I said, hey, here's training. I'm going to make sure that I talk about this experience of me talking about training, and that's on my resume. That's what tailoring looks like, but you do it for every single line. You might, if you're in the same industry, you might have a resume where you already know, oh, I have all of those things, right? If it's the same industry, the same exact role, maybe you're just updating it. Maybe you're just adding some impact to that. You don't necessarily have to really revise all of your resume if you're in the same industry. If you're in a different industry, that's when it gets a little bit more trickier because you have to look at that job and say, how are they explaining the skill set and the experience that they're looking for? And how do I talk about my own experience that way? So that's your connection there. So if that's the case, then you're going to say, okay, I have my story. How do I talk about, I'm sorry about the 100 applications, Dr. Anita. So I'll talk about the 100 applications in just a minute. So if that's the case, and I'm saying, here's my skill set and here's how I use their keywords to talk about it, right? So in my case, if I was talking about my HR skill set, right, then in that case, I need to say it's not an HR training that I'm doing. It's an inclusive, it's a diversity recruitment training, right? Or it's an inclusive culture training that I'm doing, right? I have to think about how I'm positioning that. So I hope that helps, Anaima. Let me know if that's not making sense. Cool. And if you're reaching out for the scholarship, Anaima, there is a training that will teach you how to do all of those things. Okay. Dr. Anita said 100 applications. Oh, wow. So yes, so when I was talking about my shifts, right, for my past job search, I had applied to well over 100 jobs. Like I mentioned, I was getting interviews and I didn't really feel like they were aligned. So in that regard, I was applying for a lot more positions because I wasn't aligned in how I was talking about my skills and things like that because I didn't want to be a recruiter anymore. So that's one of those things I was talking about of like, yeah, sometimes you could have that level of applications and think your resume is wrong when really you're just not in alignment because you're talking about your skills in a different way because you're not really interested in that job and you're talking about it in a different way. So that's the first piece. Once I finally figured that out, I think I was maybe at 50 jobs. I don't think I got to 100. And particularly if I'm in the Eastern, you're really looking at how you're aligning your skill set and it's one-to-one align. You still know that you have a lot more candidates applying in that job market. So it's a lot more competitive just because of the job market, which is indicative of it being an employer's market, right? So things are a lot more competitive. And so that's why, unfortunately, in this market, it's more like 100 applications, which is why you should not spend, I know like years ago, my 2018, I would absolutely say that I would only have done like 20 applications and I would have tailored a little bit for each of them, right? And that is because it was, I was definitely going to be, one of 20 applicants, right? In today's job market, you might be one of 200, one of 300, one of 400, right? So you have to get more applications out there. I'm sorry. If other people are getting lower, you tell me. I love it. But that's what I'm seeing across the market, even for some of my clients who have really, really tailored resumes. It's just rough out there. Okay, I'm going to answer thank you to my mom who wrote EST. Yes, I am in Florida. If you're asking that specifically for coaching, I offer pretty late calls because I'm a night owl. So if you're like on West Coast and you're like, oh, I don't know if I get a call. Yeah, like I usually do calls till like 10 o'clock, which is why I'm still up right now. Some of y'all like, I'm going to bed. Where's Nicole to say she's going to bed? Okay, so what does it mean to be unqualified for a position? Can you still apply for a position you may not be trained in but interested in? Okay, so there's two pieces of this, right? We have the standard of what unqualified could mean, right? And that typically means, hey, I don't meet the qualifications on the job. There's two elements of that says sometimes hiring managers will put a lot of weird things that they're saying are qualifications, which really aren't really even relevant to the job. And that's why we make the jokes about they're looking for a unicorn. Nobody exists in the market who can do that, which absolutely happens, right? So there's that element. But there's sometimes that those are really, those qualifications are legitimate, right? And so if you're legitimate and it says minimum, it's really important. If it says minimum qualifications and you don't meet those minimum qualifications, like 3 years of experience, then a lot of times you're wasting your time applying to that job because you're quote unquote unqualified because you don't meet the minimum qualifications. Minimum qualifications. Calling you out. I'm glad you're still here, girl. Minimum qualifications are a lot different than the preferred qualifications or the job description duties, right? Because those are things that they're asking you to do, but they're not saying what you must be minimum qualified to do. Now, backing up, the problem that we as Black women have, I'm saying this with love, is that we often judge ourselves more harshly than our counterparts, specifically our palm-colored counterparts, okay? Because they'll say, oh, well, I've done that and that and that, and that counts as my 3 years of experience. We as Black women may have that, but just because of how our dynamic with how we're valued and treated, a lot of times we don't see ourselves as being qualified. So, for example, for me, oh, hey, Christy. Christy, you late. I'm getting off. Not you in Florida on it. Okay, so for me, right, if I'm looking for a job and it says, oh, okay, this individual must have 3 years of diversity, equity, and inclusion experience, guess what? I'm applying. The title that I was in for diversity, equity, inclusion, I had only been there for like a year and a half, right? But all of my other experience prior to, and this is kind of like something that I share on other sessions. So like I talk about how even though I hadn't been in a quote unquote DEI role, I had been working in that type of environment doing DEI work for those 7 to 8 years that I was in human resources. Okay. So then on paper, I say I have 8 years of DEI experience, right? And for the people that hire me, they're acknowledging of that. They acknowledge that, right? And so it's less than at that point whether or not we are qualified or unqualified, but more about how we view ourselves. Yeah. Okay, we got another one. Okay, am I missing any questions? Okay. Okay, Anonymous said, website application can be so long. Is there a way to shorten the application? For example, with easy applies, faster application, and I feel like those employers look at those more. My tactical answer is that when I was doing applications, I would figure out what questions they were often asking. So, for example, if they said they needed like just a brief description or they needed me to copy and paste my stuff, like how they ask you to upload your resume and everybody's like, oh, but they asked me for my resume, but then they also asked me to put it into the section below. What? In that case, you can say, hey, I have a document that I just keep open that I copy paste things out, right? So things that were like my description, my education, my work experience and things like that. So it wasn't in my resume where it was kind of irritating to move out. I would keep a page that allowed me to just copy and paste those in. And that's helpful. In terms of applications that are easier, yes, there are websites or there's applicant tracking systems that are a lot easier, like easy apply on LinkedIn. That makes it a lot easier. For me, I'm applying to the jobs that are most aligned. So what I'll do is I'll go through and I'll identify, let's say I know I'm going to apply for 10 jobs in a sitting. I'll go find the 10, maybe to 20 jobs. I'll put them on a list in my job search planner. And then as I go through the night, I'll start applying to those. Sometimes I didn't do it that night. That's more important now. And then I would go through them. If there was an application that they asked for a whole lot of information, I was like, I don't have the time, energy, or whatever to do this. I would just essentially leave that to last. If I have time to do it, I have time to do it. So that's a good way to triage, to do that instead of like wasting your time on lengthy applications, because again, this is more of a numbers game right now. And that's why I'm recommending the higher level and not to spend time on jobs that, applications that are super lengthy because they're not reading it anyway. Okay, so Dr. Anita, love this. Do they look at easy to apply more? In my case, so this is not the case for all employers, right? In my case, if I had gone and paid LinkedIn for a paid posting. Now, some people have job postings through LinkedIn. They pay for that package, the recruiter package, and they have enterprise and whatever, and they get the option to have like their applicant system like directly connected and attached to LinkedIn. So that's moving things over. That's not what I have. That's not what I had. So if I was going to be in a space where I actually paid LinkedIn to post and promote a position, it was probably because I wasn't getting enough applications. In that case, I'm probably more likely to look at Easy Apply because I've now paid for LinkedIn applications. That being said, the way that my particular employer was set up, that still meant that candidates had to apply the formal way if they were granted an interview. All of that being said, if that's the case, absolutely, you believe that somebody is going to look at that more. On the other hand, I hear a lot of feedback lately that people say, oh, well, employers are not looking at the Easy Apply. They're not really paying attention to it. And I honestly just don't think that's true, unless there is a recruiter that's just posting it and they don't pay attention to it. And I feel like that's more likely to be a poor recruitment process than it is to actually be connected to something that's specific to LinkedIn Apply. So if a recruiter doesn't look at their applicants in a system, they're not going to look at it there. You know what I'm saying? And so in that case, like, you don't know, right? Because you don't know what kind of recruiter you're applying to when you apply to a regular job, right? So it's kind of those dynamics of like, I try not to like villainize the tool because I know LinkedIn and other applicant tracking systems just get a lot of hate and a lot of disdain for this the process in the system, when really it's how people set things up, right? The applicant tracking system is an evil overlord. Is people not using and contacting candidates back through the system. Okay, I have triaged my applications the same way. Glad to know. Yes. Triage your applications. Okay, Erica said, outside of LinkedIn and Indeed, what other websites do you suggest looking for positions? Okay. My favorite job, me, Mercedes. Also, I'm looking for looking for remote jobs. I look at definitely number game. It's unfortunate number. I hate to say that because I was definitely one of the recruiters that said it was not a numbers game. I'm a numbers game career coach now. Okay, so my favorite are LinkedIn. So when we talk about the triaging, I'm the same way. I'm gonna go find enough jobs. If I found enough jobs, then I'm not looking anywhere else. So I look at LinkedIn first and I look at Google Jobs first. Despite what people say, I feel like overall, the LinkedIn jobs will give you a much better rate of less spammy jobs, right? And I'm comparing that to like an Indeed. And I do evil overlord. That's how y'all be talking about us out here in HR and recruiters and the applicant tracking system. Yeah, evil overlord. That's what y'all be. That's what you be giving us, beating us up on the internet. No, woo. Okay, so compared to other apps or applications like an Indeed, I see a lot less spam jobs on LinkedIn. I know that's not what the people think online. Same thing like a ZipRecruiter. I feel like they have even less because I'm pretty sure only ZipRecruiter does paid postings, right? You can't post anything for free on there. So I feel like that's a dynamic too that leads to better quality postings. So LinkedIn's my number one. And I feel like LinkedIn pulls in more, like employers are more likely to put their stuff on LinkedIn. So you get the good and the bad with that. The other one that I like is Google Jobs. Now, Google Jobs is kind of like a two-edged sword because Google Jobs is good because you can go there and know that you're finding probably the most comprehensive list of jobs because they're pulling in from all of these different job boards, in the same way that Google pulls in all these different websites, right? On the other side, you have more likely the jobs that have been filled but not closed, that are from spammy websites and things like that. So you really just have to be vigilant as you're looking through. But those are my two. LinkedIn for more specific jobs for, just I feel like it's more, it's less spammy, but it's also able to get me a little bit more specific to the LinkedIn for my field, jobs on LinkedIn, excuse me. And then, words are getting hard. And then Google Jobs has a further reach, but then I have to screen through more jobs. Those are my favorite. I would say, though, it's always good to kind of try and look for jobs that are in your field, right? So for instance, like I know for nonprofit, education, mission-driven organizations, I'm going to Idealist. Like they're always going to have a good quality range of jobs for me to look at. When I was looking for only remote jobs, I would go to Built-in, Levels, and Otta, which is Welcome to the Jungle now. So there's just a variety of different job boards that you can find just based on your interests, and literally just plug it into Google, right? If it's a good job board, you're going to be able to say HR job boards and post it, like Google it that way. Yeah. So yeah, yes, earlier to apply you better. You were like, so not the last question. Did I get every outside of LinkedIn? I'm just making sure I am. You're just looking for questions. Okay, did I miss anything? Okay, so my last question, where is the best place to find remote jobs that are not scam? I just answered your question because I knew where you're going. Built-in Levels, I think it's Levels FYI. I just found that there were more listed on there. And then what was the other one? And Otta. All remote, all vetted. Okay, love it. Yes. Rat Race Rebellion. Yes. Okay, what about higher ed jobs? The Chronicle of Higher Education. Yes. So I used to be I used to be an executive recruiter for the University of Florida. So yes, we would always post on higher ed jobs in the Chronicle of Higher Education. So those are two ones for them, and also Idealist. But same thing, like depending on which area you're in, Dr. Anita, like look and see if there are specific job boards for your particular discipline or your college or things like that. In your space. If you are truly in an academic role, I would say that it would do you a lot of good to look for job boards for your particular academic space. But if you're more of like in an admin role, then I would say pick a more generalized job board like Idealist, or like for me, for HR, if I wanted to stay in higher education, I would look at Coupa HR. So yeah, just try and find it in your function. But yeah, higher jobs, and Chronicle of Higher Education. There's one more that I'm missing that I can't remember right now. It's gone. But yeah, Idealist is good. Okay, do we have any more questions? Okay, so as we are seeing if we have any last questions, I just want to share this was absolutely fabulous. I have really loved connecting with you all and share. You had some good questions. Got some questions I hadn't quite been prepared to answer. But as we wrap up, so we have one more webinar in this series, which is Black Women Are Brilliant. And it's all about monetizing your Black women brilliance. So things that are so important in this space is that yes, you may be underemployed or unemployed in this space, but that doesn't mean that you can't really figure out ways to increase your income and your revenue in other ways, shapes, or forms. So that's what we're talking about next week, right? So we're talking things about how do you find, non-traditional jobs? How do you kind of launch your own side hustle or business? One of the things that was so amazing to me, like to just kind of live through that, was saying, hey, I know DI is going through a lot of stuff, but I'm actually not worried at all. Oh my gosh, no, I'm not. Wait, are you tired of me? I'm not tired of you. This is what I'm here for. All the questions to be answered, right? So in this case, right, I wasn't worried about it. And I think that's like such a liberating, free thing, because I was not worried about my job potentially being cut. You're so funny. I was not worried about my job being cut because I knew that I was really increasing my income. I knew that I was making an amount of money that if I didn't have my full-time job, I would be okay. And of course, as of January 1, I quit my full-time job to be a full-time entrepreneur, and it has just been so much of just a rewarding thing to just feel like I could take it or leave any job in the future should I choose to do so, because my business is growing. And that's a powerful thing. So that's what I'm sharing next week, Tuesday. So if you haven't RSVP'd, go to my profile. If you're on YouTube or LinkedIn, you can do that right now. And you can make sure that you start to think about how you can monetize your gifts for any market, right? Okay. So as we wrap up, thank you so much. If you have any other questions, I don't think I saw any more. If you have any questions, I'm good to answer questions. It's okay. You don't have to apologize for questions. But either way, I hope that for the lovely ladies who are going on this journey with me, I hope to see you in the community. I'm super excited. And you can, if you're still on the fence and you have questions, just go ahead and send me a message about joining. Okay. You could reach out and say, hey, I have some questions. I want to know. But again, the way to join is mercedeswan.com/join, or you can text BLISS to 321-488-0808. 08, and I will see you in the community to really help and to support you in moving forward in your job search and landing the dream job with a paycheck, with the increase. Okay. All right. You're welcome. You're welcome, Angela. Okay. No more questions, Naima. All right, everyone. It was so good seeing you all. I will see you next week, Tuesday. Oh, you're welcome. Oh, thank you. Yes, it all shall pass. Yep. It all shall pass. Yeah, I'm waiting for all the updates. It says I landed the job. I got my interview. I got my offer letter after this final interview. Yes, take all of the nuggets and go forth and be fruitful. So yeah. All right, y'all. I'll see you all later. Bye. It's good seeing you all. Bye.